This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
If you see me coming, I'm about to get it started. I'ma show you something that you never knew you wanted. Yeah, you want it. Claws out, unleashed, I'm a beast, got the whole crowd. Party, make a scene, gonna get loud. Real proud, show my teeth. Go wild like an animal. Like an animal! Like an animal! Go wild like an animal! Wild it out like an animal. Go wild like an animal.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you so know it. It does not matter who the host is. It didn't back then. It didn't years before. It didn't matter when we started this thing. And it definitely does not matter today. Anyways, today is Thursday, January the 18th of 2024. So you know it's day number 18th of the year because, you know, that's what happens in the first month. You know, the date coincides with what's going on. Anyways, 348 days left to go. Yeah, that's it. You know, the countdown to extinction has started, but it started a long time ago. I just think that we're kind of getting used to it is really what it boils down to. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM and hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio. USA, Canada, UK.
Yeah, it's hanging out with our friends at Radio Big because that's what we do. You know, that's the hangout. That's the thing that happens. So how has the last 24 hours or so been for you? Have they been good? Have they been grand? Have they been grandioso? I only ask that question because of some other reasons there. So let's make sure that we coincide with what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the news, and I don't know where you're located and if you're affected by these things. So we kind of have to take it with a grain of salt as we move forward. No doubt about that. So outside of that, if you're not familiar with what we do, let me kind of give the brief explainer. The brief explainer. We are a show that talks about safety and the news and safety, kind of the way that it works. We have some professional broadcasters that come in and will tell us exactly what's going on inside of the news. I should almost call them professional newscasters because they are broadcasters, but they are really known for their news. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on inside of the news. I'll give you a versionality of a main story of what's going on and what's kind of going through this noggin here, letting you know what's going on. And then we kind of go from there. You have the opportunity of interacting with the show by going to callinradio.com. That will give you the opportunity of video chat, audio chat, and of course, text messaging, my preferred method. Now, we are streaming on some different video platforms. I will admit to that. But here's the problem. If you hang out on those social media platforms and you give us any kind of messaging, we're kind of slow. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. We're slow in regards to how we respond there. Most of the times it doesn't happen until post-show. And if you don't know this, this is a 3-hour, baby. This is a 3-hour show. And what happens is hour number 1, we call it the Rated R Safety Show. Hour 2 and 3 is Jay Allen the Morning Show. That's all part of stuff that we do on Radio Big that comes to music and entertainment. Now, don't get me wrong. Hour number 1 is simulcast across multiple platforms and multiple radio stations all at the same time. Yeah. Don't even get me started on how we got into that pickle. And so that gets me in here at 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time in regards to hanging out and doing the stuff that we get to do together. So I enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. And we get to do some stuff. So with that being said, that's kind of the explainer-ainer of what we do. And we'll get moving with all that kind of fun stuff. So if we're going to get it all started and get everything talking about in regards to what we're doing, why don't we start talking immediately about what the hell was trending in the overnight? Because I think that that's going to be important for our conversation for today. Matter of fact, it's almost important for almost every conversation that we have every day, but I just like to make a big deal about it because that's what I do.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so as I look at the trends of the ends, the CCP shifts its population control policies, and Kim Jong-un Jr. gets aggressive in a very unintentional international edition of Hit List. We'll talk about that. And this year's Songwriter Hall of Fame inductees have been revealed. We'll talk about that as we get into showbiz. Ed O'Neill's backup plan for acting may surprise some. We'll talk about that as we get into some casting calls. And a pair of high-profile royals are set to go under the knife. We'll talk about that as we have some more DDEDs here in just a little bit. So why don't we do this as we hang out this morning and do all the fun stuff that we get to do? By the way, if you are listening to the podcast version of this show, well, maybe it's not morning, maybe it's afternoon, maybe it's the middle of the night. I don't know. So thank you for listening. But when we do the recording for the podcast version, of course, is in the morning, because that's what we do. That's when we're streaming across the multiverse as we talk. So with that being said, I have Mark Mayfield waiting for us. He's ready to go. All I have to do is hit this button to get everything moving, and then we'll get into the news. So if you're ready, I'm ready, because I think we need to find out what the hell's going on with the news stories, because I'm always intrigued. And here's the fun part. I'm going to say about 95% of what we talk about on this show, I don't screen it. And let me explain what I mean by that. I don't know what the hell this news story is going to say before it happens. That's our great writers and our great staff around here that gets to do all that fun stuff. And I get to come in and hang out and do the things with you directly. No, not as good as Ron Burgundy, that's for sure. But if it's on this little prompter here, yeah, you get it. You get the info. That's just kind of the way that it goes. I mean, maybe I'm pulling behind too much of what's going on behind the curtain, but that's the reality of it. So let's get Mark Mayfield in here and let him tell you what the hell's going on.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. 14 Democrats are joining House Republicans in denouncing President Biden's border policies. A GOP resolution passed in the House Wednesday with full Republican support, urging Biden to end what they call his administration's open border policies. House Republicans have been holding committee hearings about possibly impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over his handling of the border. With the anniversary of the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade coming up Monday, Senate Democrats held a briefing Wednesday on the state of abortion rights in the U.S. Trey Thomas has more.
They're joined by Dr. Austin Denard, who's an OBGYN in Texas.
We no longer have the basic human rights for freedom and self-determination that my mother and her generation relied on for nearly 50 years.
The lawmakers suggested that the vast majority of Americans support the right to abortion, and it should be women making decisions about their pregnancies, not politicians or judges. I'm Trey Thomas.
4 more passengers on the Alaska Airlines flight, which lost a door plug midair, are suing the carrier and Boeing. Brian Shook has more.
The suit filed in a King County, Washington Superior Court alleges the plane manufacturer and airline were both negligent in the lead up to the incident. Passengers aboard the flight say the incident resulted in physical pain, intense fear, distress, anxiety, and trauma. I'm Brian Shook.
And a Maine judge is deferring a decision on whether or not former President Trump should be allowed on the state's ballot. Last month, Maine's Secretary of State disqualified Trump under the 14th Amendment. The ruling, issued by Maine Superior Court Justice Michaela Murphy, said a decision should be on hold until the U.S. Supreme Court rules on a similar case from Colorado. The High Court will hear arguments in the Colorado case on February 8th. Maine is set to hold its Republican presidential primary on March 5th. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Pakistan's retaliated with missile strikes into Iran in response to an Iranian strike on Tuesday. The WHO says the health system in Gaza is on the brink of collapse. The UK's controversial Rwanda immigration scheme now faces a battle in the Parliament's upper chamber, and US media is reporting claims Chinese scientists knew vital information about the COVID virus 2 weeks before eventually revealing it to the rest of the world.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
The White House is tackling hidden junk fees.
Some banks have charged extreme overdraft fees that often hit the most vulnerable Americans the hardest.
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a briefing that the new rule will banish excessive overdraft fees. The new Consumer Financial Protection Bureau proposal would cut average overdraft fees by over half. The Biden administration is promising not to allow banks to rip off Americans, according to Jean-Pierre. She touted Americans' satisfaction with the economy, citing an Axios poll that shows 62% of U.S. citizens are optimistic about their finances, and 85% believe that their financial situation will improve this year. The United States has launched another round of airstrikes against Houthi militants in Yemen. On Wednesday, U.S. officials announced the Navy used Tomahawk missiles to target 14 Houthi missile launchers. The strikes came just hours after the U.S. said it would be designating the Houthis as an official terrorist group. President Biden has said the airstrikes from the U.S. and U.K. are in direct response to continued attacks from Houthi militants on ships in the Red Sea. Meanwhile, over 30 international charities have warned that further escalation in airstrikes on Yemen could spell disaster for civilians already in a dire humanitarian situation. The American Cancer Society is out with its 2024 projections and yearly stats. Michael Kastner reports.
Since 1991, there's been a 33% drop in cancer deaths in the United States, but certain cancers are on the rise. Colon cancer is now the leading cause of cancer deaths among people under 50. Prostate and breast cancer are once again the leading cancer diagnosis in males and females, respectively. For the first time ever, the ACS projects over 2 million people will be diagnosed with cancer this year. The chief science officer at the ACS recommends exercise is a great way to combat possible future diagnosis. I'm Michael Kastner.
And former Meta Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg will be leaving the company's board of directors in May. She joined Facebook, now Meta, back in 2008. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show. Self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacky? Safety trainers still preaching a warped version. How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Polzel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Let me talk to you real quick. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck at the checkout line. Sign up for HelloFresh and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. Just choose your recipes, select a delivery date, and relax knowing the dinner's on its way. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week, so it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. Go to HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM-free. That's HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM-free to use the code SafetyFM-free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM-free with code SafetyFM-free. And don't forget that this is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Radio. Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, yes, Rated R Safety Show going on right now as we are technically, well, we'll say 16 minutes, but technically right now 17 minutes past the top of the hour. So there you go. There you go. A lot of stuff going on. I told you at the very beginning that there was a lot of things happening. So I'm glad that we were able to get into that. So let's take a look at the shit list real quick, because that is the list of the shit that we're going to talk about today. And after years of enforcing its murderous one-child policy, the Chinese Communist Party is formally shifting gears to encourage women to bear children. The end of 2023 marked the 7th consecutive year that the birth rate declined, and the 2nd consecutive year of a total population decline where death outnumbers the births by 2 million people. By the United Nations estimates, China is now the 2nd most populous country following India. Official government policy now permits up to 3 children per household, so there you go. So, get to it is what it sounds like, is what they're asking people to do. It's kind of a weird thing. You have a policy of how many kids you can have. That's an interesting one. I'm sure, the hand gesture will get me in trouble.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, Japanese airline ANA reported on Wednesday that its 55-year-old passenger bit a flight attendant bad enough that the pilots turned the plane around over the Pacific Ocean so they could be treated. The assailant, an American, was so hammered drunk during the incident that he says that he has no recollection of the attack. Fortunately, the intended injuries were minor so far. No more details have been released by Tokyo police. But hold on. So they were bad enough that they needed to turn back, but then fortunately the attendant's injuries were so minor. Okay, very confusing. This is all coming via ABC 7. ABC 7. So I don't know. They were bad enough that they needed to turn back, but minor enough that, not much of an issue. Boy, does that get weird. Anyways, Kim Jong-un Jr. has ordered his government to rewrite the North Korea's constitution to formally name South Korea as the Hermit Kingdom chief enemy. The move marks a shift of policy that had in recent years sought peace between the conflicted countries on the Korean Peninsula. In recent years, Junior has cozied up closer to Russia and China, while the southern counterpart has strengthened ties with the United States and Japan. The edict follows the speech that Junior gave on Monday, that abandoned any hope of the United Korea. He ordered the closure of the three DPRK government agencies tasked with keeping diplomatic ties open between the two nations. The new constitutional language would designate South Korea as a hostile state that should eventually be occupied and reclaimed. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the long run as we are talking. The president of Colombia announced on Wednesday that his government will cooperate with Ecuador if gang leader Adolfo Fito Villamar is found in his country. Speaking to reporters at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, President Gustavo Petro said that law enforcement in Colombia is working with intelligence suggesting that Fito could be in his country. Fito's disappearance from prison in Ecuador 2 weekends ago sparked a regional manhunt and aggressive crackdown on gang crime. And this is according to El País, via El País. That's where we're getting the information there. So it'll be interesting to see what Colombia will do in regard to that. So it's all getting pretty interesting as we are talking. No doubt about that. Anyways, Felix von Milburn from Frankfurt, Germany, has set a new record for the fastest time to drink a cup of coffee. Guinness World Records recently shared the record-breaking moment on Instagram, showing that Felix poured down a cup of Joe and chugging it in 3.12 seconds, a solid 0.05 seconds faster than previous records. Coffee enthusiasts reacted to the feat, saying that they could do the same, with one user joking to do this, that he does it every morning. Of course, this is according to Instagram. Of course, the temperature of the coffee is unknown, though based on the slight steam from the video, it appears that it'd be at least slightly warm. So there you go. There you go. Some stuff to talk about. No doubt about that for sure. So there you go. I don't know. Just some stuff. Anyways, with that being said, 22 minutes past the top of the hour. So why don't we go ahead and do this? Why don't we talk about some money matters? Because I think it's time to matter about some money. So let's do that.
Costco is testing scanners at the entrance to its stores to keep out non-members. Bertha Combs reports.
Several locations are scanning membership cards in what it calls an effort to improve their experience. Previously, members only had to flash their card at the entrance and then their card and ID when they scanned at checkout. Costco's chief financial officer told CNN the new procedure speeds up the process at entry and checkout. Memberships are key to Costco's business model. It generated $4.6 billion in fees for nearly 128 million members last year.
Consumers are about to save at the bank. The Biden administration and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau unveiled new regulations for overdraft fees that are expected to go into effect in 2025. Banks will now have to choose between offering overdraft loans for profit or a courtesy service, dropping fees by over 50%. The rule changes will affect around 175 banks nationwide. Experts say consumers have paid an estimated $280 billion in bank overdraft fees since 2000. The pause button appears to have been hit on the planned merger between two of the largest grocery chains in the country.
Kroger's and Albertsons are saying the deal has been delayed following concerns from regulators. Add to that this week's filing of a lawsuit by the Attorney General of Washington State. The grocery store operator announced the merger, worth more than $24 billion back in 2022. I'm Michael Kastner.
The Commerce Department reports retail sales soared in December. The latest government data released Wednesday showed that retail sales jumped 0.6% last month thanks to the holiday shopping season. That number beat expectations of a 0.4% increase. It also marked the biggest jump in 3 months. Year over year, retail sales rose 5.6%. Consumer and business news, Aaron Rayal, NBC News Radio.
Okay, there you go. Thank you very much, Aaron Royale, for that information right there. So let's talk a little bit about what I was able to find, what the hell was going on inside of the financial market. The Dow lost about 94 points to close at 37,266 on Wednesday. The S&P lost about 26 points to close at 4,739, while the NASDAQ lost about 88 points to close at 14,855. West Texas Intermediate closed at $72 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $78 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.08 on Wednesday. Bitcoin was mostly flat on the day, trading just around $42,600 on Wednesday. So, trade 3 Bitcoins and you can get the Cyber Beast Cybertruck if you're interested in that. Just something to talk about. And also, there was more than 4,880 flights delayed into and out of the United States on Wednesday, with more than 1,150 such cancellation. Friday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $236 million jackpot, or $113 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you have the opportunity to do so. So there you go. Anyways, I did talk about this earlier, so I will reference it right now. But this year's inductees for the Songwriters Hall of Fame are R.E.M., Steely Dan, Timberland, Hillary Lindsey, and Dean Pitchford. The induction ceremony is set for June the 13th at the Marriott Marquess Hotel in New York City. So there you go. There you go. In case you were wondering what was going on there. So what do you think? Just saying. If you're interested in doing that. Let's talk about this. John Cena doesn't think that Rob Gronkowski will be able to make this year's pre-Super Bowl field goal kick. He missed last year, and I think that he's going to miss this year, Cena told the People, or People magazine, better say. FanDuel has the two athletes pitted against each other for the new Super Bowl ad, and with Gronk hoping to make the kick and Cena playing his arch nemesis. Fans can vote whether they think Gronk will make the kick or not. FanDuel's FanDuel Sportsbooks app is the one that's pushing it, so there you go. Cena's always such a nice guy. What the hell's going on there? Well, I mean, at least he comes across in that in real life. If you don't know this, John Cena, professional wrestler, also an actor now, has granted more than 650 Make-A-Wish wishes. Yeah, think about that. 650 by one person. That's pretty interesting when you start thinking about the whole thing. There you go. Anyways, let's talk about some things coming out of Florida. A first-of-its-kind mass shooting prevention call center is launching out of South Florida today. Founder Sean Kanuki says that it is set up to work like a suicide prevention hotline where the potential shooter calls in to speak to a live person who can help steer them for a different direction.
80% of the mass shooters are normally suicidal or have tried suicide in the past. And if we can get to them in their planning stage, we may be able to help them.
So the center is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He says nothing else has worked to stop mass shootings. So this is worth a try. The Gun Violence Archive says that there was 630 shootings in the U.S. last year with the average of 118 deaths per day. That's up from 647 mass shootings in 2022. Hold on. That doesn't make sense. The Gun Violence says that there's 630 mass shootings in the U.S. last year. That's up from 647. No, that is not up. That would be down. I'm just saying. Just for math purposes. Also, the founders also said they set up to work like a suicide prevention hotline since 80% of mass shooters are suicidal.
Research also indicates that these people want to be stopped. They don't really know how to stop other than being shot by a police officer. So if we can participate in calling them back and keeping in constant contact with them, we may be able to help them not do a mass shooting.
I'm kind of confused on calling them back. I mean, I'm sure we'll get more information as we go, but that will be an interesting one to see. Anyways, Denver Mayor Mike Johnston is in the nation's capital today, joining other Colorado members of Congress and push for the federal aid towards migrant crisis. Johnson says that $14 billion proposal would provide resources for the border and make getting work authorization easier.
What we know right now is what doesn't work is having someone come to the border, claim asylum, get sent to our city, and have to wait 6 years for an asylum case to be adjudicated. And in the meantime, they can't work for those 6 years. That is a problem that's unworkable for us.
Okay, it's part of the U.S. Conference of Mayors this week to discuss the most pressing issues facing cities across the country. The proposal would give federal funds to integrate migrants into society. Johnson added the move is a real path to a solution for the ongoing crisis. In just over a year, Denver has supported more than 37,000 migrants from southern borders, costing the city more than $38 million so far in shelter and aid. So there's something to think about. Anyways, with everything going on with the weather around here, let's talk about this. I'm going to bring some Mike Ellis in. Let him tell you what the hell's going on with the weather update.
Heavy snow in the mountains of the Pacific Northwest for today. Snow for the Rockies, too. But a real challenge will be the risk of freezing rain over the Columbia Basin. Freezing rain is likely to be a factor later today and persist into Friday for the lower elevations of the Cascades and the lower Columbia Basin. Heavy snow develops for the Cascades toward the end of the week and into the weekend. Messy weather with heavy snow, rain, and freezing rain will make for tough travel later today and into Friday across much of the Northwest. Today will feature more lake effect snow bands downwind of Lakes Erie and Ontario. Another foot of snow possible today through tomorrow into western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, and northern Ohio. Snow in Pittsburgh today, a high of 29. Tough weather in the Appalachians today and tomorrow. Freezing rain in parts of Tennessee. That's your national weather forecast. Mike Ellis, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Mike Ellis, for that information right there on what exactly is going on. Let's talk about this. The family of 43-year-old Michael Shiverton wants answers after he was hit and killed by a vehicle last Thursday night. His mother, Rebecca Stewart, is urging people who witnessed the crime to speak up.
I asked the police officer, you think he suffered? Because they just left him laying there. I wouldn't even do that to a squirrel, let alone a human being.
Shiverton was walking on Michigan Avenue near Interstate 275 in Canton and was hit by what police believe was a 2010 or 2011 Toyota Camry that left the scene. His mother says that he was staying at a hotel and was walking to and from when he was killed. Rebecca Stewart wants answers of the hit-and-run death of her son.
He had 6 children, and he's a grandpa already, but he's just going to be a grandpa in July.
Terrible news to hear that over and over again, for sure. An 86-year-old woman was hit and killed by a plow driver when she was leaving a hair appointment in Fraser on Tuesdays. Witnesses say that the plow driver ran over her twice in the parking lot of a 15-mile and Hayes Road. Take a listen.
That's when I screamed. It wasn't bad. It was a human, and it was Sue, and I went running out the door, and I was supposed to run to her.
Employees of the saloon are devastated and upset, and this should have not happened. The plow driver was arrested. The witness talked to the plow driver's reaction. Take a listen.
Then the first thing he said when he walked up was, "Please don't be dead." And in my head, I'm like, you don't want her to be not dead because of that, but because obviously now you're panicking about yourself.
Hold on. I'm very confused on what this lady's saying. You don't want someone to be dead, period. I mean, I would imagine. And was really his reaction about really concerned about what was going to happen to him? I mean, I don't know. Who knows? It gets weird when people start talking about this stuff. That's for sure. I mean, it's terrible news regardless, but man, what the hell's going on?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show. Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about some main story stuff because it's time to do that. There is no doubt about that because that is what we do around this time of the day when we're hanging out and doing our thing. And I will tell you, the more I get to hang out with people and the more I get to talk and the more I get to interact and listen and go, hey, this is definitely something that I'm interested in that's going on. I'm more and more interested in what's happening with you and your organization. And I say this for the following reason. It seems that we don't want to do processes the way that processes should be done. And listen, I get it that people want to helicopter to the top and do the things that they think that are going to be satisfactory, are going to be excellent for their job and for their career, not keeping in mind that other things need to be done before you can helicopter to the top. Before you can helicopter a program, before you can helicopter and move everything over to the way that you need it to be. So let's talk about this real quick. Have you ever had a house built? Like, have you ever went somewhere and said, hey, I want a house built or a structure built for you? Have you ever noticed that when this is being done, the roof was not the first thing that was built? Matter of fact, probably the roof was not the first thing that was put into the place, period, regardless of the structure. And there is a reason for that, because there has to be some prep work that's done to the ground. After that prep work's done, then the foundation is poured. After the foundation is poured, then you got some framing issues. Then you got some stuff that you have to do inside of the wall to make sure that you can do the pipes and all that kind of fun stuff before you would even ever consider putting the roof on. Before you would even start moving. And believe me, those little segments that I just told you, there's big steps that have to take place. I mean, foundation alone, when you pour that concrete down, if you're using concrete, that thing has to cure before you start building on it. And here's the thing. Those things take time. But for some unknown reason, there is this belief that we can jump around and go, we will grab this, move this forward into our program, and say that it's good to go. I don't know why that is a belief system. I don't know why people think that that can be done in that particular fashion, but unfortunately it can't. And as I look more and more into the different aspects of safety that are out there, I am still amazed that there are people that are out there that will look at some of these structures, especially inside of the hop world, and take certain segments of it. And let's use this as learning teams in particular, and say learning teams can be used as a standalone and move forward and do things with it without having a foundation in human and organizational performance. It gets very weird sometimes, because regardless of you wanting to incorporate this as a standalone, which might be a great idea, you still need some foundational structure to be able to move forward with it. And luckily, I get to interact sometimes with some people that are considered giants in this industry and have conversations and understand what they're thinking in regards of it. And it doesn't sound like I'm off my rocker when it comes to this stuff, because you have to look at it and go that there has to always be a foundation to what you get to. Think about it. Think about where you are now in your career. There is a foundation that was built before you got to the place that you were in. And so if you turn around and go, well, I am brand new into this industry. Well, look at the people that were there before. Look at the people that were there that built to get where you are now. You might not know them. You might not know exactly what was going on. But the foundation was built for you to come in there. The same way that I look around and I go, I have the opportunity of doing the things that I get to do because, hey, there was some guy that said, hey, radio sounds like it's a great thing to come up with. And then I was able to, study some different aspects of life and come in and say, hey, we should talk about this shit on the radio. And that's how it occurred. So as you look at this, maybe the foundational pieces need to be the most important pieces as we move forward. Yes, it's good to have some ideas of things that you want to do, repurpose and so on, but maybe looking at foundational structure before you move forward. Yes, you can say, I am tier 2 in a program. It's okay. But making people understand that tier 1 needs to be done before you get to tier 2, maybe that's something to think about before you start pitching whatever the hell you're pitching out there. Think about that for a moment.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, Internet Service Providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud, one of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Radio. USA, Canada, UK.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
Calls out, unleashed, I'm a beast, got the whole crowd. Party, make a scene, gonna get loud. Real proud, show my teeth. Go wild, like an animal. Like an animal. Like an animal. Go wild, like an animal.
Okay, there you go. 45 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. Yeah, the Rated R Safety Show. Just in case if you're wondering. This right here, Elena Cross. Just like an animal. Or like an animal. It's available right now. You can stream it. YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify. Listen to this pause. Watch. It's going to pause right here. There you go. So there you go. You can listen to it like an animal if you're so inclined to do so. Give it a little streamer action. That's for sure. Because that's what we do around here. Take a listen to some musica. You can go on like an animal. So there you go. Thank you to Elena Cross for allowing us to play this here on the, I almost said the Jay Allen of the Morning Show, which it is, because it is hour one. But there you go. So let's get into it. Let's get into what is going on inside of our world, though, because that's for sure. We need to talk about this. Let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And To Write Love on Your Arms wants you to know that people have been where you are now. Things can get better and healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. And click on the section that says Find Help. It's on the far right-hand side. All kinds of resources for you right there. Anything dealing from, or at least to name a few, that's dealing with addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, just to name a few. Listen, the helplines are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. So there you go. For information purposes. Listen, it can, if you go there, it can change the way that you look at things. There is no doubt about this. Anyways, talking about putting your money where your mouth is, an Austrian heiress believes that the government doesn't tax the wealthy enough, so she's decided to ask regular citizens to help her give away 25 million euros, or about $27 million of her inheritance, to find a panel of trusted advisors. 31-year-old Marlene Elgonghorn sent a survey to 10,000 randomly selected Austrians. From the respondents, she'll select 50 to help divvy out the dough. Where did she get the $27 million? She is a descendant of the Engelhorns, who founded the German pharmaceutical giant Bass. And she has inherited a fortune from her grandmother, who died in 2022. The project's website, she wrote that her wealth was accumulated because of others. People did the work. Austria has no estate, inheritance, or wealth tax. So there you go. So, yeah, she's giving away $27 million only if her family can't get her locked up first. If you've received this surveys, what would you write? Aside of give it all to me, of course. I mean, I'm just saying. But I mean, I'm kind of interested. on, what would you recommend? Because it'll be an interesting recommendation, no doubt about that. Anyways, take a listen to this. Word has just come out that Apple is working on a underwater user interface that eventually could lead to a future waterproof version of devices. Currently, the company's best watch, the Apple Watch Ultra 2, can be used to dive a computer at depths of up to 40 meters, but iPhones, including the newest iPhone 15, remain merely waterproof. You can drop it once in the bath, in a sink, or a pool. It'll just keep working, but it doesn't have any kind of underwater functionality. The patent published this week, filed back in 2021, indicates that the iPhone of the future could detect when it's underwater, adjusting the user's interface to display a simplified version of iOS for its users as well to be used underwater. Apple says that more users are using their devices for water-based activities, and current methods for displaying users' interface while a device is underwater are outdated, time-consuming, and inefficient, requiring multiple key presses and keystrokes. So expect a new addition to the Apple product list, the iGoogleist. Yeah, the iGoogleist. Okay, so I'm not sure who needs this, but except for Aquaman, but there you go. I'll tell you, I go to water parks here in Orlando, and I'm always amazed on these little transparent cases that they sell for people to use their phones underwater. And at least at the park that I go to, it seems like they sell quite a few of them because, man, there's all kinds of people that have them. And good for them. I mean, good for them in regards of being able to do whatever they can. So there you go. Anyways, let's talk about this. The Department of Justice is expected to release its report of the police response to the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas today. Mark Mayfield reports.
DOJ officials notified Uvalde school officials about the upcoming release at a school board meeting on Monday night. Shortly after the shooting in May of 2022 that killed 19 students and 2 teachers, the DOJ announced its plan to conduct a review of how police handled the situation. DOJ officials said the idea is to identify lessons learned and best practices to help first responders deal with future incidents. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for that information right there as we are talking. Take a listen to this. Let's talk about Road to the White House. That's what we're going to do. Here's the Road to the White House for January the 18th. Take a listen.
Road to the White House 2024. A new poll has former President Trump and Nikki Haley tied in New Hampshire. The American Research Group has the candidates tied at 40%, and the former South Carolina governor is feeling optimistic.
We needed to be strong in Iowa. We need to get stronger in New Hampshire. We need to be even stronger than that in South Carolina.
Meanwhile, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis insists that Haley is not the candidate that can build a true conservative coalition.
She does not have the ability to build the type of coalition that you need to win a Republican primary, period, much less take on Donald Trump.
DeSantis is struggling to gain momentum in New Hampshire. The primary is on January 23rd. In Washington, I'm Brian Shook.
Okay, so we're going to get to listen to all about that next week, that's for sure. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring some John Smalls in and let him tell us about what's going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. Today's quote was submitted by Cole. Marcus Aurelius said, "Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought, for the human spirit is colored by such impressions." Thanks again, Cole. So many great quotes from Marcus Aurelius. He also said, "Just do the right thing, and the rest doesn't matter." Think about how simple these quotes are. He's basically saying you're going to grow in the areas you focus on, so just know that ahead of time. And he also says, do the right thing. Nothing else really matters. I think we can learn quite a bit from these 2 simple quotes if we applied them to our daily lives. Focusing on doing the right things, nothing else really matters. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
California is taking its fight against flavored tobacco products national. Attorney General Rob Bonta is joining AGs from 21 states in urging the Biden administration to ban menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars. Bonta says tobacco companies have intentionally targeted specific communities across the nation, especially those of color. A Harvard study shows a link between fruit juice and weight gain. It's a new analysis of 42 prior studies which found that drinking a glass or more a day of 100% fruit juice is linked to weight gain, not just in kids, but in adults. The study, published in JAMA Pediatrics, says the actual weight gain is small but significant because juice causes a sugar spike, and too much sugar in the blood, well, that can lead to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Experts say the bottom line is skip the juice and eat the orange or apple itself. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
I just think we're too rated R. Maybe that's what it is. Anyways, 54 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's talk about Did You Know? Just month of feeling depressed can quickly lead to weight gain, says a new study. While the link between depression and weight gain has been recognized for some time, researchers in the UK say that specifics of how they affect each other have been unclear until now. The findings that an individual whose depressed symptoms score increased from mild to moderate would typically see a weight gain of 225 grams, about half a pound per month. They also found that those are overweight or obese are more vulnerable to weight gain in response to feeling more depressed. So there you go. There's some information for you real quick. Anyways, if you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, or not some days of the year. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this day. Let's start off with that. Back in, 1993, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday is observed in all 50 states for the first time. That happened back in 93. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, I have some of those for you. Karen Barr turns 25. Hunter Duan turns 30. Kalarka Grant turns 33. Becca Tobin, 38. Jason Siegel, 44. Ben Wilborn turns 51. Jonathan Davis from Korn turns 53. Dave Bautista turns 55. And Kevin Costner, he turned 69 today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you. It's National Gourmet Coffee Day, National Peking Duck Day, National Healthy Weight Day, National Thesaurus Day, National Michigan Day, and National Winnie the Pooh Day. Yeah, I'm not joking as I say that. That's a day that's recognized. Take a listen.
The world has had a love affair with Winnie the Pooh since 1926. Sales of Pooh books have never been out of print, and they've been translated in over 50 languages. The honey-loving bear and his pals have given us the warm fuzzies for nearly a century with so many adventures into the 100-acre woods. Today, we celebrate the life of author Alan Alexander Milne and his lovable bear who always gets his head stuck in a honey jar. I'm Bree Tennis.
Okay, thank you, Bree Tennis, for that. If you need a random joke for today, I have one of those for you. If you can't decide between running and eating chocolate, run to the store for some chocolate. I mean, wouldn't that be the best case solution? I mean, you get the best of both worlds there. I'm just throwing that out there. Also, if you need a phone starter for today, try this. What is the most overpriced thing at a grocery store? Oh, there's so many good answers there to say, but we'll leave it at that. Also, if you need a question for the water cooler, try this. The number one thing employees enjoy getting from their employer is a compliment. What is number two? It's free food. Don't ask me how they came up with this. That's the answer to the question. There you go. Anyways, try that out at your water cooler and see if it's accurate or not. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together. If you want to stay and hang out with me, you're more than welcome on doing so by going to radiobig.fm. I'll be talking about the world of music and entertainment for the next couple hours or so as I hang out over there. If you want to stay on Safety FM, you can hang out with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he'll talk about the world of safety consulting, because that's what he does here at this hour on Safety FM. So thank you for what he does. And if you want to take a listen, that's for sure. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. Quality is remembered long after the price is forgotten. Think about that. Think about that today. Quality is remembered long after the price is forgotten. Anyways, thank you for taking a listen to what we do around here, because without you, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do what we do. That is for sure. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.